This podcast is sponsored by RSA Rock and Metal Fans Facebook page.
Mark, welcome to Talk to Trev. I keep saying this. It's like podcast, chatcast. Is it a pod? What is it? But anyway, it is what it is. Welcome to Talk to Trev. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on this chatcast.
Yeah, chatcast. Google got their name already, the bastards. Alrighty. Sneaky buggers as they would. Yeah, damn it, exactly. Now listen, Mark, I have to be honest with you. I don't know all that much about the Pajama Planet, Mark Allnuts. I don't know much at all other than what I've been given from Devo. And the first time I ever saw you live was the Winterfest, the Metal for Africa, the Pat and the girls and the boys put on. And that was out there, dude. I was like, well, whoa.
I think that's a great place to start, because that pretty much sums up me and my audio-visual sort of world to a T, I think. I consider myself a storyteller and consider myself a musician, and I was a filmmaker for 10 years in the film and TV industry, so I've sort of brought all of these weird aspects of my life together, and I got to put them all into this wonderful 20-minute presentation and presented it live on air for Metal for Africa. Couldn't have asked for a better opportunity.
You did add in visual elements, obviously, because it was a visual thing, and you were playing guitar, and you had other guests on playing guitar and drums and bass and whatnot else. What started this whole journey of wanting to be a guitarist? Or you weren't just a guitarist, though, because you played violin, piano, and so on, and saxophone even at one point.
Yes, I did. I was an absolute crooner. I think my best experience was walking on stage during a school play with my hat tipped down over my eye. I got to swing a gorgeous sax solo for a film noir theater performance in front of all these matric girls and boys the same age as me. It was amazing. Definitely one of the highlights of school music. But guitar came to me very late. That was the last instrument I picked up, and I think I picked that up probably about the age of, I guess, 15 was when I properly picked it up. My dad had always had a variety of acoustic guitars and 12-string guitars in the house, and had always gone chunka 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 with his blues licks and telling his old town road tales and firesides sort of songs. So music was always in the family, always in my life somehow. But it wasn't until a friend of mine visited me once and picked up my dad's guitar, and I think he played a Papa Roach riff, and I was like, holy shit, dang, I didn't know this. All I knew was four bar blues from watching my dad play and stuff. So not that there's anything wrong with that, but it was very, very eye-opening. But I think of all the instruments I've played, I think about 4 or 5 of them, guitar is definitely the one that grabbed me the most, as it does a lot of people.
You were ripping it on the Metal for Africa, the Winterfest. How many years have you been playing guitar now? Because you look like you were just fucking nailing it down big time.
So I think now I'm almost 35, so it would be a 20-year period in which I've been playing. Wow. And I remember the first 5 years as sort of messing around. I was at school, and I had other instruments that were my official subject instruments for school. So guitar really was a weekend sort of guilty pleasure. In the evenings in the week I was practicing piano and saxophone and getting ready for my exams and all that kind of stuff. So guitar was always there to release a bit of pent-up frustration from the week of having to play all these damn scales all the time. So then I could, bring out my dad's acoustic, and I would learn Blink 182 songs and Sum 41 songs and all these sort of pop punk rocky sort of pop metal bands that I listened to back in the day. And I think when I was in university, then I started playing a bit more, and I actually started focusing on it because I wasn't playing these other instruments. And there I started getting a bit better at the instrument. I played in a punk band, which was a wonderfully terrible musical outfit, which I enjoyed so much, and we had great fun. It wasn't until I found heavy metal, though, that I actually started becoming what I would consider a guitarist.
Right.
But I was never a lead guitarist, never a shredder. I always battled with all my instruments to improv and to play incredible solos, whether it's the piano or saxophone or whatever it was. So I focused on rhythm and song structure and building interesting sounding concepts and songs, and the sort of dexterity with my fingers sort of came at a later stage to a point where I can play a guitar solo. It's not a problem, but I'll never do it out of choice. It's always because damn it, nobody else can play a solo here. But I love guitar, man. There's nothing better than thrashing out a few heavy palm muted riffs, you know.
Yeah.
Why not?
Max Chops. That's I did listen to it this morning. That's a great album.
Thanks, man. Also coming up on, I think, 4 years old already.
Yeah, 2016. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. The first album I did is Pyjama Planet. Pyjama Planet was my solo musical outfit post any other bands that I was playing in South Africa. So this was where I decided, you know, I can now start writing orchestra and synthesizer and doing a whole lot of extra sound design and elements into the music that I wasn't given the opportunity to do in my other bands. And that's what Pyjama Planet was. It was me taking all the music I'd learned over the years at school, which was jazz and orchestra, and combining it with my love of heavy metal, which I also found very late. Yeah,
why the name Pyjama Planet? I mean, why not? But I mean, you know, why?
It's a good question. And everybody does ask it, so I should be able to answer it. To be honest, it's already been found in my brain, and that's why it exists.
Hey, that explains a lot. I mean, okay, your surname is All Nut.
Yes.
Okay, are you all nuts? Are you mad? Are you like a mad scientist, a mad musician or something?
I don't think so. I think I'm relatively eccentric, as with a lot of creatives.
Okay, that's a better word. Yeah.
Yeah, eccentric and out the box, I guess, would be a different one. Pyjama Planet was always a feeling that I got when I listened back to my own music that I was writing. It was never a concept to begin with. It was, I got the feeling of vivid colors, space, a planet hurtling through a galaxy with no sun anymore because the sun had exploded. So all the planets were filled with a luminous phosphorescence. So I saw this planet with crazy, weird creatures, all glowing luminous colors, and I saw almost like human-type aliens that were wearing, sort of, because there's no sun, it's perpetually nighttime, but all the trees glow with a beautiful colors. So these people are always in sort of nightwear, but they're made out of animal hide and sort of natural fibers from the planet and the forest. So that's, I guess, where the concept came from, and just sort of steamrolled from there. Then I explained this to a designer who did my artwork, and then I had logos done, and it sort of really just exploded. So now it's become this giant world with multiple characters and new albums coming out soon, telling different stories about the world. Yeah, super.
Would you say you're a metalhead with the most perfect manicured hair on earth?
Maybe.
because I only say that because in Winterfest you had this like mop of hair that was like perfectly coiffed, if I can say that.
I get this question a lot since I've grown.
Okay, I thought I was going to be out of the box with that question. Okay.
And it is a lot of the women who ask me, what is your secret?
Oh, that doesn't bode well for me. Oh, bloody hell. Okay.
Shout back. It's like, there's nothing wrong with just washing your hair and using a damn hair.
All the metalheads that I used to hang out with, Jesus, their hair looked terrible.
Oh man, I just wash my hair every second day, and I use a hairbrush every day, and my hair, I think, is just naturally straight. So lucky me. But also, I'm very lucky. Most males in my family are bald. So
wow.
I don't know. I must have been a postman's son or something. Yeah,
okay, so what actually went into the Metal for Africa Winterfest? Because it looked like the story of I'm trying to think of the name of the character, and they would like
it was Magenta. I was telling us the story of Magenta in that.
Yeah, that's right. And there was all these like musical interludes in between each little story.
Yeah,
I mean, it was brilliant.
Oh, thanks, man.
I mean, it was the first one that I saw of the Winterfest, and I was like, damn it, this is actually, it's so out there, but it's just really different.
Well, that was the idea, to be honest. I don't like, I'm not a fan of sticking to the norm, I guess. And this is no dig at any bands or musicians, and especially my peers who I shared the virtual stage with that night. But I didn't see an example in my head where I could present my music being a solo artist without my regular live band here with me in Wilderness, where I live in the Garden Route. So I sort of had to create a new environment where it was okay to see me sitting in a little studio by myself and physically superimpose all my musician friends around the shot with me. That made a lot more sense, but I took it one step further and sort of made it into more of a storytelling event, because that's what Pajama Planet is. It's more of a story, and nowadays it's a story and a concept and a feeling. The music's just part of it. So I got to work in the forest near my house. Started filming the forest in the evening to get like some beautiful light, and then I would physically color grade that footage so that it looked like Pajama Planet, where all the trees and plants were blue and purple. So it was a combination of building these physical assets like footage, combining all the various pieces of art I have and actually doing some basic animations with them, getting the music together, and then rehearsing that as a piece. And that took some time, So that show probably took me a month of preparation for that show. But I didn't regret any moment. I mean, it was the most fun I've ever had preparing for any sort of performance or any sort of art piece, for that matter. Why would I give up an opportunity like that? To go online and to have me recorded in perpetuity forever on essentially on now on Twitch. I think it's still there. Performing, doing my stuff. That's what I'm here for. So
to put yourself out there. And it was different. It was very different, because you're not just a music artist, you're a producer, you do film scores, solo artist, How the hell did you get into film scores?
So scoring in general was something I wanted to get into when I realized film wasn't going to be for me anymore. It wasn't having fun with various clients, and it's something I loved holding cameras, and I was fairly good at it. So it seemed like a good idea at the time. But as with everyone, you've got to follow your passion, I guess. And I am passionate about picture and film and movies, but I think I'm more passionate about making music than I am about making movies. So it just seemed like the right idea. And it took about 3 to 4 years to transfer from a film to a music career, where at one point I was doing sort of both jobs at the same time. And the scoring thing just came about because I pitched myself to a local animation company who were using library music for all of their corporate videos and their animations, their short animations and whatnot.
Okay.
And I said, guys, that's cool, and you're definitely saving a lot of money, but this is what I can do for you. And I played them some examples of music that I had written to picture before. So I maybe played them another animation or a short film that I'd done a score to, or even just something from like an online class, a music class that I'd done, where one of the projects, and this sort of definitely jogged their fascination. And 3 years later, I was still working for them, and by that point, I sort of started with video game soundtracks.
I was just going to ask you, because you also did video games soundtracks. I mean, I used to work in the gaming industry for about a year and a half. But yeah, I remember contacting musicians and producers and songwriters to get soundtrack for the game. And it's not exactly easy, because you have to come up with something that's original to the game. It's not just original out of your head. It's got to be aligned with the game as well.
Yeah. I think that's the misconception with being a musician and then I guess would be a composer, or a composer for picture, or a composer for a specific media. There's a very big difference between writing music and writing music for a specific purpose that has to fit the art form completely. It's a very different ball game. You have to be able to write music in the first place.
Yeah.
So if you can do, you're already like going in the right direction. But I couldn't do it very easily to begin with, and it took a long time to get to work out not what am I feeling, let me write that. It's like what is this piece of art telling me to feel, and therefore I now have to write that.
That must be frustrating, because I'm sure there must be times when you hit a brick wall.
It's not the brick wall that becomes the problem. It's when you write a piece that you really become attached to, and then it gets rejected. That's more the issue, and that's where the element of you as a musician comes into play, because all musicians are precious over their creations. All artists are, for very good reason, because it comes from a subjective, very personal space. But I've had to try to learn to sort of remove myself from that. And now when somebody comes back and says, Mark, it's a good piece of music, but it doesn't work for the game at all, so it's kind of shit. And I just laugh, because they've been as blunt as possible, and they have to. And I'm like, cool, that doesn't matter. I'm going to save that. I put it aside. It's in a folder for something I can work on one day later. No problem.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm going to run out of music to write. Music is easy to write if you're sitting down and in the right headspace. I mean, it just, it goes to show there are musicians who have been writing music for their whole life, whether it's now like 60, 70, 80 years. You don't run out. You just run out of almost like momentum and drive. You never run out of the ideas. It's the motivation to create those ideas.
So what are your influences and your inspirations and your motivation then to keep doing what you're doing?
I guess, not dying of hunger.
Oh, I've got electricity to pay this month. Yeah, that'll be a good idea. Wait, let me come up with a song. Yeah.
Number one. Number two is, again, it ties into the sort of world of a musician, and that absolute burning desire for recognition.
Right.
And what better than to, if you release a piece of music and you put it on the streaming platforms and you put it on YouTube and you make a music video, what. You get X amount of likes and comments and views, and then you find yourself every week checking up how many people have watched, But it's almost like it's kind of a shallow form of recognition if you feel about it, because you're not actually physically receiving anything. It's just somebody gently prodding you and saying, well done, well done, well done.
A little pat on the back, yeah.
Somebody comes to you and says, I like what you do. Here is a sum of money for you to do what you enjoy.
The ideal, yes, that'd be great, thank you.
Recognition. And then you're guaranteed that it's most probably going to be in a format that's going to be listened to or digested for years to come, because it's going to be something like in a movie or on TV or in a game. It's not just like lost on Spotify, because everything's lost on Spotify.
Everything,
So I guess I don't know what the question was. I sort of went on a ramble.
No, the influences, inspirations, and motivations to keep doing what you're doing.
I guess those would be the demotivating factors. But I find inspiration from I don't know. It's I always come back to a feeling. When I made my first short film with a friend we were in Matric, it gave me such a sense of excitement in my chest, and I don't know what it was. It was this feeling that I was unable to recreate until I discovered heavy metal, and I started writing my own heavy metal. Suddenly I started feeling this ball of excitement in my chest again, that what I was doing was the right thing for me. So, to me, it's very much about a feeling. If somebody comes to me with a project and I'm absolutely broke and I need the cash, but it's a shitty project, I will take the project on, but I'm not going to be very happy about it. Because I feel like I have to do it. But what you yearn for is those things that grab you. Somebody's like at the moment, for example, I'm doing a soundtrack to a top-down exploration shooter game in the style of Grand Theft Auto 2, sort of like back in the 90s.
Okay.
But cyberpunk, cybergoth type of world. So I have to write industrial cyberpunk synthwave music with explosive percussion and elements of like horror. And I was like, yes. And you want to pay me? Of course I'm going to do that. So that's what I'm doing at the moment.
That's perfect. I was just about to ask you what new stuff have you got coming up, but that's brilliant. That's awesome. That just makes, as soon as you said that, I was going, Gary Newman, my name is Ruin. That's like, futuristic.
Totally.
And landscape. Beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Very dystopian.
Yes, yes.
Broken down, almost apocalyptic sort of.
So I mean, how do you see your musical landscape, your future? If you had to look, if you could see it, how do you see it being? Do you see it being split between gigs, shows, or is it going to be like this kind of studio-based, producer-driven?
I guess what I would love is to be known as somebody who is able to take somebody's basic ideas of the album or the EP or the singles, and to take that and to turn it into the masterpiece that they're wanting, whether it's actually finishing the songwriting and doing the mixing and the production and that kind of stuff. And that's what I really enjoy. Of all the jobs that I've done with musicians, those are the ones that have been the best. If the band comes to me and says, here are my demos, we're going to come and record, and then you mix it, I'm like, it's going to take us like 2 weeks to record this damn thing. It feels like such a waste of time nowadays where everybody can actually just do that at home. Think about it. If you have, especially like guitarists and bassists, there's a lot of equipment nowadays where people can do that at home. I don't mind like going to a studio and recording a drummer for a couple of days or having a vocalist in. But the putting together of a musical project is, to me, more the exciting part. And that's sort of like, taking the formation of idea and building it into this wonderfully pimply adolescent teenager.
Yeah.
And giving them the care they need. But I think my future, I would like to see my future as a combination of helping people produce their music, as well as continuing to produce my own music, heavy metal music for Pyjama Planet, mixed with orchestra and synthesizer as I do. And the way I would see that culminating would be sort of not playing many shows. I'm not such a fan of playing live, if I must be honest. I sort of did it early days with other bands when I had to, and you wanted to like go and play as many gigs as possible. And
yeah,
I see myself in a couple of years, with a large enough repertoire and enough albums and enough clout to say, when I'm in my mid-40s, to go and rent out the whole, sort of a Grand West casino or some big theater and have a 30-piece orchestra behind me, and all of the people I've had to collaborate on the albums have put together this Mark Pyjama and Friends Pyjama Planet, catastrophic audiovisual 2 to 3 hour performance with
that'd be
massive,
so rad,
with projectors and animations and so think of like a Metallica S&M but with audio-visual and
but better.
That's yeah. I love making audio plugins and sounds and developing my own digital instruments. It's something I hopped onto about a year ago when I realized, screw buying everybody else's digital instruments to write music with. I'm just going to create my own. So I found a program in which I can do that, and I started sampling electrical transformers, steel plates, buckets in rondavels.
Hang on a second. Now, is this just for if people want to add something to their own music? You can.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay. Is this the stuff that you see like advertised on Facebook that pops up, drum kits and urban kits and all these different sound things? Okay.
So I created a third sort of facet to the Pyjama Planet world called Pyjama Planet Samples. And this is where I produce my own sample packs of instruments. And these are ones that I've been making over the last couple of years that I've been using myself. And I enjoyed them so much. I thought, well, some of them are really good. I might as well put them up for free. Some of them which took a long time to actually make, I'm going to actually try and sell those. And so far, I think I've had 4,000 instruments downloaded on my website. And that's in the last 2 months. I only launched all of these products maybe 2-3 months ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
It's gone incredibly well. And just actually now while we're talking, I just got 2 orders.
Wow. That is amazing, man.
These are just like the free instruments that I make. So I will make, for example, like, actually, let's see here. Yeah, there's another one that just came in. So somebody from France, somebody from Thailand, and somebody from Mumbai.
Wow.
And the other one's from Belgium. You're all downloading my...
Hey, it's my hometown, Belgium, my own country. Yay, awesome. But my mother's side is all from Belgium, and we love our beer, so that explains a lot. They got the best tasting beer. You don't have to have the same beer. You can have a different beer every day of the year, and you won't have the same beer twice. Yeah.
Like, how many weeks will that last you?
365 days. You won't have to have the same beer twice. It's like when you try and do I went down this route once to try and figure out where the hell we're from and who was what. My grandfather was a stonemason, and his father came from UK, from the southwest coast in Cornwall. We've got a street named after us, Opie Street. So it's it's quite a thing. Would you dig to do that? Like do that whole ancestry thing, find out where you're from, what your DNA is and everything?
Absolutely. I've been my father and I chat about it a lot, and we've gone as far as we've found a whole lot of old photographs from the early 1800s of our family, but there's no inscriptions or names on them, but it's all portraits, like probably 40 to 50 portraits of all these sort of very, very British looking white people.
Okay.
Like I would say almost 150 maybe about 120, 150 years ago. I don't know if photography was around in the mid 1800s, to be honest. Anyway, but I'm always fascinated, and because what upsets me is that I have no clue who like my great grandparents are, and what that means is that my great grandchildren will probably have no clue who I am.
Well, you've got a digital footprint now, so that's it. There's no escaping it. That's it.
Internet, sure, but imagine how much sort of family knowledge and family stories have been lost. And we could have had stories passed down for millennia, but we don't. And we could have had records from millennia ago, but nobody has the foresight for some reason. But I think it's like now, because our sort of generation sees the value of archiving and holding on to a few things, that now it's like, I think imagine a couple hundred years time, people are going to think that the world only started in 1990, because that's when the internet came about.
Well, the real question is the world flat?
I don't want to get into that. That's not even a question.
No, I'm just provoking. I'm provoking for an answer, but anyway, shit, yeah. That's an open-ended debate that'll just go on with the absolute nutters forevermore. So how are you surviving the COVID with, I guess you're not really affected by it because of your producing and so on?
I'm sort of very, very lucky out here. My work's been a bit min this year, and I had some unfortunate health issues which put me out of commissions, but which also happened during the pandemic. So I sort of, slept through a lot of the pandemic anyway, so didn't sort of notice it. But my wife luckily has held on to a lot of the contracting work, and we very fortunate in that we live on a small holding. So we by the nature of us just being in our house and on our property, we are very socially distanced.
Yeah.
So I haven't really been affected by that too much. Keep safe when going to the shop, sort of thing. There's still some complete idiots that you see.
Listen, I live in Langebaan on the west coast, man. I can tell you, it's like as if there was never any pandemic.
It wasn't even happened, essentially. I mean, no, yeah, where I am is very much a COVID hoax, 5G, anti-vaxxer sort of.
Flat earthers.
No, absolutely. And I'm sick because I have Wi-Fi in my house, apparently.
Oh, right, okay.
So I'm like, oh, do you want me to pay your invoice? How am I going to do that without Wi-Fi? Anyway, so yeah, we've survived the lockdown, and I kept myself busy with when I got over my health issues. I started releasing all of these digital instruments and plugins, which are all available. If even you want to check out, by the way, it's all available on PYJAMAPLANET.com, which is sort of my hub for everything. That's where I have information about me and my solo career, and the Pyjama Planet studios, and the artists I record, and the music I.
Well, everything will be in the description below, all the links, and people can click on and go to all your socials and all your websites and everything like that. So that's not a problem. And we're going to start rounding up the conversation now. And last thing I want to touch on is, what gear do you play on?
That's a good question. I'm not such of a gearhead in that. It's not that I don't love gear, but I don't understand the sort of intricacies of gear too much. I'm always more about the actually like picking up a guitar and writing music than trying to understand how the bridge, how the pickups work, for example. But
okay, right. What guitar do you? What make of guitars do you have?
So I'm writing sort of thrashy, fast metal on a 6-string or a down-tuned 6-string. I have 2 Cort guitars, which look like metal guitars. I mean, they've got mother of pearl pentagrams and upside down crosses on them, and that black fretboard, black guitar, beautiful instruments.
Nice.
Which I bought very long time ago, sort of 15 years ago. When I'm doing sort of bigger, heavier, more genty type metal, then I have a 7-string Ibanez, an Ibanez, whatever.
Yeah, that is a debate and a half, isn't it? Is it Ibanez or Ibanez? I've got a friend in New Zealand who has the Ibanez, and he says it's an Ibanez.
Ibanez.
Ibanez, yeah, there you go. You just coined a new term. It's not an Ibanez, it's not an Ibanez, it's an Ibanez. Ibanez.
The first 3 guitars I had, acoustic and electric, were all Cort guitars, because that was the brand that the Paul Bothner music shop down the road sold, and I just love these guitars. Got some heavy, fat, active pickups in these things, so they scream. But yeah, I use digital plugins nowadays for guitars. Sometimes I've got a Laney amp here that I use, or a Fender amp, but mostly I'm a digital guy nowadays. Plug the guitar in, load up my orchestral patches, write some sick licks and riffs, mix, master, done. There you go. That's
Boom,
the Pajama
album.
Planet.
Well, Mark, it's awesome to chat to you, and I really do appreciate you taking the time out during the day to have a chat and to give me the lowdown on. Yeah, and it's my pleasure, man. It's an unusual concept, Pajama Planet. It's beautiful. It's epic. I love it. Don't get me wrong. It's very, 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 very nice. But I wish you well. I wish you well for whatever new stuff, the game stuff that you're doing, and the production and producing and the film scoring. And good God, man, just take a breath.
There's no time. Farm ain't gonna pay for itself. So
all right. Okay. No, fair enough. That's right. That's the way it works, then.